Hello students, good day. The topic of today lecture is Android operating systems. In today's lecture, we will look into how Android system works, what are the different versions of Androids, what are the features they support. Towards the beginning of today's lecture, we will discuss various scheduling algorithms that are there in Android, as well as hardware acceleration techniques, as well as memory management and the framework that Android uses, along with the components and their interactions. And then later on, we will discuss the features that are probably more prominent or more obvious to the users when they are using this operating system. I know that some of the information that we will discuss towards the beginning of this lecture, like memory management, scheduling, may not make much sense to you at the moment. However, when you will be learning these concepts in later in the course, you will realize that how they can be implemented in any operating system. Uh, there are possibilities that we can use this this session towards the end of the course, just to wrap up how operating systems look. Uh, However, I also feel that right now, because you are just a user at the moment and you are not exposed to different functionalities and the different parameters that are involved in the development on of operating system. So probably from a user's perspective, at the moment, this operating system or this session may be of some interest to you. Android is without any doubt the most popular and most commonly used operating system in today's world. It is used in more than 2.5 billion devices around the world. In 2019, roughly 87% of the market share is already with this operating system. It uses the Linux kernel for mobile phones, and it is open source, so you can download some versions. I mean, the new versions are already downloadable, so you can download and you can have some experiments with them as well. You can modify them as well. Some of the features, some of the versions of this are open for the modifications as well. So an interesting thing that probably triggers your interest is all we hear about various interesting names like Marshmallow, like Kitkat, like Oreo. So all of these names, they uh, actually establish an order, and the order is with respect to the alphabets. So every new version has a new the next alphabet in the listing, and you will just see how it works, and that's quite interesting when I learned it first. I remember that back in 2010, I was in a conference, and over there, it was established. There was a presentation by Google, and it was established, and it was maybe suggested over there that at the moment Android has only like 18% share of the market, but in the future, like into 2017, by that time it will capture like 60% of the global market of operating systems. At that time, this thing was a far-fetched uh, thing, but now we are seeing it as a reality. So over here we have the journal framework of Android. So you can see that at the bottom we have the Linux kernel. By the knowledge of computer sciences that you may have by now, you know that kernel is the core of an operating system. So all the basic functionalities, mm, they reside in the kernel, including the process management, including the memory management and stuff like this. So it contains the power management, memory management. You can see hardware management along with the drivers. So all of this is handled at the kernel level. Then we have a hardware abstraction layer that actually resolves all the requests from the top layers and map them onto the bottom layer. And over here we have all the basic stuff that we use for perform different operations. For example, audio is in here, and speakers are in here. Bluetooth is in here, and Bluetooth connectivity is in here. So we have drivers in here, and beneath it we have the hardware, actual hardwares. And then we have some libraries that are basic to Android. And then over here we have some core libraries for Android support. On top of it, we have Android framework that has different packages, that has notifications, that actually deals with the management of communication as well as the resources of the operating system. And on top of it, the topmost layer has all the applications that we use on Android. For the memory, it began with a 32-bit architecture, but later it starts supporting 64-bit architecture. Probably this information at the moment makes less sense to you. However, when we will be doing, will be studying later chapters, and you understand how memory work, and how registers support RAM, etc. Over there, probably this 632-bit architecture and 64-bit architecture make more sense to you. The minimum amount of memory that is required by some versions of Android, 340 MB of memory, it can work fine with it. If you have a low specification smartphone, 512 should work fine. 1 GB is an average memory requirement for basic operations. However, if you have a high specification phone, then 2 GB can be the minimum requirement. Nowadays, you can see that multiple applications as well as multiple games, they demand more and more uh, main memory. Again, when we will be discussing memory management module, this thing will be more clear to you over there. Job scheduling, in module 3 we will be discussing how uh, multiple processes are scheduled in the system. However, at the moment, you can just look at it as there are multiple processes in the system, and one of them should be executed at a moment. So all of them, they have a contention, and operating system, it decides which of these processes or applications they should take the processor time. There are multiple algorithms at the moment. There is no time to discuss what is a primitive, what's a priority scheduling, what is a time slice. So all of these details we can discuss in module 3. However, probably you can understand this priority, but may not be able to grasp how they can be used in scheduling. It could be of interest if when you will be studying module number 3, at that moment, if you can come back over here and look at these slides, probably at that moment they start making some sense to you. However, priority just means that if there are multiple processes, which of them should be given more priority. So they are just numbers for at this moment. Usually we have a couple of scheduling already in this Android operating system, and it is based on that what are the requirements of the application that we use. So we prefer some particular scheduling algorithms. So over here we have two different mechanisms of scheduling. One is non-primitive first come first serve with no time slice, and the second one is time slice round robin. You will see in module 3 what it actually means. Memory management, again, this operating system uses paging. Paging is a very interesting and recent technique that can be used for slicing the main memory and mapping your processes onto them. We will discuss paging in module 6. So over there, you will get, because this is a whole process. The garbage collection in Android is implemented to make sure that there are no running applications and no uh, no memory is being wasted by processes that are not in use any longer. Mm, Again, RAM can be shared between multiple processes, but I'm not going into this detail because Android is an operating system that uses uh, some advanced features. So at the moment, some of them may not be very useful to discuss. But definitely, these will start making sense once you uh, complete your course. So all right, an operating system provides multiple security features to its processes. It means that the data, credentials, as parameters of one program may not be interfered by any other program. So, in the very same manner, Android provides various security features, and they are very state of the art, very good security features. Uh, Usually, it identifies each application through a unique ID, and it provides a sandbox to the applications. Sandbox is an environment where a process can run on a trial basis at the beginning, and later on, if it appears to be not harming any other application, then it is allowed to run in the main environment. Uh, for users, Android provides cryptographic keys. About these cryptographic keys, you may learn in some other course. It means that we usually have multiple passwords, where one password can encrypt the data, and entirely other password is used to decrypt the data. So in order to save the data, you may require one password, and to utilize it again, you may require another password for this. So usually operating system or systems that deal with such kind of security mechanisms, they provide the second password is provided by them, so the user may not be aware of whether this how this is going. um, Through Android 6.0, they have provided the biometric security, which is also a very state-of-the-art feature. And if a device is encrypted, so the data that it generates is automatically encrypted. Also, it provides a feature where if you try to unlock a device, or if it get lost and you try to recover data from it, it has the functionality to erase everything. Just-in-time compiling allows the machine to compile some code when it is required during runtime. Also, it does not, because it is compiled on the very same machine, so the machine can later on use the bytecode instead of compiling it once again. So it improves the efficiency of the applications and the processes that are running onto your machine. All right. So after Having a brief overview of how the architecture works, now look into how various versions provide different features and how it moves ahead with the passage of time. One of the earliest versions of Android that got some attention was Android 1.0, and from 1.0 to 1.4, they had several basic features in common, and only some of the modifications were done. The key features were pulling down the notification view, and it had already implemented the market, which we today we know as Google Play. So this market was also implemented. So at the time, users were able to download applications. We had several home screen widgets. The camera feature was there, and it also provided a facility where we can attach some media files with messages. Android 1.5, commonly termed as Cupcake version. This was the first version of Android that provided text prediction on screen. It had a recorder function, as well as it provides some widgets for the developers. So now it moved a bit towards the community-oriented applications. Navigation was provided in it. It also provided a virtual keyboard that was there in some other operating systems as well. However, interesting feature of Cupcake was that it was not needed to connect it to a computer to download or update the software. A disadvantage that it provided was the lack of multitasking, so you cannot perform multiple applications simultaneously. 1.6 Donut, it provided the functionality of screenshots, quick search bar, as well as the battery usage was displayed onto the screen. So definitely you can see that they are moving a bit forward. Uh, they had Android Market at that time, and there are several other features that are there, but probably they make little sense to the general community. Definitely, this API means that application programming interface that you learned earlier in the introduction section. So the very same level of APIs, but definitely with the passage of different APIs, the functions, the libraries, and the functionalities, it kept on increasing. This donut version also provided a power save option and the fast web browsing. Uh, the screen aesthetic and the media was a bit richer compared to the earlier version, so it was seen as a great improvement over the visual effects in mobile operating systems. Android 2.0, the clear version, that was the first operating system that simultaneously supported low resolution as well as high density screens. The benefit of it was that different operating systems and applications were not needed if you have multiple applications. It provided support to live wallpapers, and the various features of camera were improved over there. You can have multiple email accounts in this, as well as autocorrect feature uh, that helped a lot in improving the speed of messaging and emails. Android 2.2, there were a lot of improvements in the previous versions, but only to the basic level of improvements, but not the introduction of different features. Like speed was improved, the hotspot was introduced to speed up the communication between two devices. Then browser was improved to an extent that at that time, in 2010, This was one of the fastest browser available in the market. The security was enhanced, as well as now you can install applications onto external storage. That was definitely a huge benefit. If you are using a low specification mobile, still you can have an extended memory and you can store applications in there. The advantages were just increased security and some other enhanced features, which is again the enhancement of the features that were provided previously. At that time, Android started capturing the market as it can be seen as a standalone operating system that can be used with confidence on handheld devices. 2.3 Gingerbread, a very famous Android version. In this, they had quite some new features like pin lock, and then you can have audio, graphics, external storage. Uh, it also provided uh, a communication technology, NFC, that is used for high communication levels. Session initiation protocol was also introduced in this version that can be used for calling over the web. So this is another huge improvement, unlike all the communication that we can have today. The initial version of all of those communication were SIP protocol. Uh, in this version, they also supported multiple cameras and improved the speed of multiple processing running onto the system. There was a disadvantage of this Gingerbread, that in order to enhance the speed of the system, they close several applications automatically. That lead to some applications forcefully closed when the user did not want to. So in later versions, this was uh, replaced with another advanced feature where it is only the applications are only closed if they are not longer used by the user. So also this Gingerbread provided support to gyroscope. The gyroscope is a sensor that can be used for to detect the angular momentum of the device, that actually enhance the location and movement of the device, and it along with accelerometer, both of these sensors, they can predict with the high accuracy that the speed, the location and movement of devices. Android 3.0, the Honeycomb, this provided support to multiple features, but just an enhancement of the previous one, and not many new features were introduced in this version. And the first thing that was introduced in it was the support to tablets, in a way that now you can watch videos, you can read books on your mobile phones. This uh, version also supported multiple home screens, as well as it only closes applications if the user does not close it, and it's he's off the screen for him. So only applications are closed if the user has closed it, but they are running in the background, and the operating system closes them automatically. However, by having several enhancement in the graphics, as well as support to different dimensions of screens, the battery drainage was higher for this version compared to the previous versions. In ice cream sandwich, that battery was adjusted. That was the problem with the previous version. And another interesting feature in this ice cream sandwich was the handling of voice command. So the mic is always open, and the user and it's listening to the user's command. So whenever uh, the user speaks, the mic is ready to capture the voice commands, and it can be initiated through some keyword. So in this you can have multiple applications running simultaneously. It provided the first initiative towards having multiple sandboxes. During the lock, uh, there you can have background applications that can still run. Also, another very interesting feature of this version was that now you can adapt to some actions through notification. It also provided face recognition, various camera features were enhanced, speed was enhanced, as well as that as I mentioned earlier that the battery drainage was reduced compared to the previous version. So this was another enhancement or a very good version of Android operating system. There is an interesting feature in Android 4.0. As you can see in the previous versions, that face recognition feature was developed. However, your mobile phones can easily be unlocked through a picture of yours. So, which means that if someone has your image, they can easily unlock your phone through face recognition system. And this disadvantage or this shortcoming was later on addressed in the next versions. Android 4.1. Starting from Android 4.0, you have the user has the facility that several applications can be handled through the lock screen. So even if the screen is locked, you can move your media files, media players, as well as various notifications can be handled. In this version, the refresher rate of the screen was raised up to 60 frames per second, and that gives you a live experience. This was the first version where you have support for multiple languages, uh, as well as low energy Bluetooth. Another interesting feature of this is digital rights management. Digital rights management is the protection of applications, that what users can do with these applications, and that is used. This is entirely different domains. It's entirely huge domain where you manage rights of different applications as well as users, and what application can do on your device and what your device can do on your application. This enhanced the security of Android operating system a lot. A disadvantage of this version was if your Wi-Fi was not switched on, then the device cannot acquire the location of the device. This was again sorted out in the next version. Android 4.4, in this they have implemented OK Google. So now you can control your device through this. Uh, Also, the battery usage was enhanced a lot. The resolution was increased up to 4000 pixels. A lot of variations were done in this as well. From the user's perspective, the screen was one, the battery was another, the speed of the applications was enhanced as well. Yeah, it also solves the jelly bean problem that if Wi-Fi is on, it can still acquire the location of the device. A disadvantage that it had, that if the mobile is in power save mode, you cannot write messages or emails. The Lollipop version. This was the first version of Android that has the capability to work with multiple devices. So you can have one mobile phone, and if you have a smart TV, they can communicate with each other. and that's a huge leap in Android versions. Also, it supported dual SIM card. The quality of voice was improved a lot. Uh, Also, if you do the factory reset, still the protection of applications they remain the protection of the mobile phone, it remains the same. Moving on to Android 6.0, the Marshmallow version, it provided the support for biometric unlocking, so it enhanced the security of your device a lot. This is still one of the most famous operating system in mobile devices. Still, around 32% of the devices worldwide they are using this Android version. There is also a reason behind this, that this was from here we have more stability in Android versions, and the devices they had enough capability that they need not to be upgraded in a early manner as compared to previous versions of Androids. Android 7.0, now you have split screens, just-in-time compiler is in there, and the refresh rate and 3D rendering of information was quite quick, quite better in this. Android 8.0 Oreo, this was the first version that is downloadable, so you can update it and upgrade your device. There are several visual improvements in this version, as well as definitely the open source is there. Android 9.0, in this one visual difference from the earlier versions, that in at the bottom of the earlier version they had three famous buttons, that are used in all of the versions, but now those buttons were replaced by one button. uh, the battery was enhanced. So starting from Android 10.0, they dropped the alphabet categorization. Now it's 10.0. It also has very interesting features, and this is one of the directions towards foldable mobile phones. It provides more control over applications, as well as the permissions that they can, or the activities that they can perform on your mobile phones. So these are the resources from where all of this presentation was developed. I encourage you to have a look at them. This was just for your information, uh, as Android is one of the most famous operating system in today's world. That's all for today, guys. Thank you.